With great power comes great responsibility. What is going on, my fellow movie lovers, and welcome back to the Luke Ponto channel. Thank you guys so much for clicking on this thumbnail here today. Hope you guys enjoy your stay, and let's get another movie review out of the way. Because I did a poll on Instagram where you guys decide which movie series or director series of movies that I should review next. And you guys voted Spider-Man. Most of you guys voted Spider-Man, so we're going to do that. We're going to talk about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, the Amazing Spider-Man films, and both of the Home Saga Spider-Man movies I haven't yet reviewed, and also Into the Spider-Verse. So we're going to kick things off with the 2002 Spider-Man. This film was directed by Sam Raimi, who previously did films like the Evil Dead trilogy. He also did The Quick and the Dead. And this, of course, stars Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker / Spider-Man. It also has Kirsten Dunst as MJ. You also got Willem Dafoe. You got James Franco. Lots of talented people in this very first film. Hoo boy, what do we got? After being bitten by a genetically altered spider, nerdy high school student Peter Parker, played by Tobey Maguire, is endowed with amazing powers to become the amazing superhero known as Spider-Man. So me growing up with Spider-Man was actually a pretty big thing for me as a kid, was basically this little web slinger right here, Spider-Man. I watched the Tobey Maguire films quite a bit growing up, mostly the first movie, which actually was my favorite Spider-Man film up until No Way Home. So, I mean, Spider-Man was a big part of my childhood. I even had like a couple of like Spider-Man toys and all that. Like I even had like a Spider-Man suit, I think, at one point. And even a couple, Spider-Man statues. Like, Spider-Man was a big part of my childhood growing up. So, for this film to really have that nostalgia power on me, this film was my favorite, for the Spider-Man saga for a long time. Again, up until I saw No Way Home. This film right here is the definition of a great comic book film of the early 2000s. Now, I will say this, comic book movies at first did not really have the best track record. I mean, the early DC films like Superman and Batman, like Superman the film, the first two Superman movies by Richard Donner, and Batman Returns by Tim Burton, were all fantastic. And then we had all those crappy Marvel stuff back in the 90s, like Fantastic Four, or freaking Captain America. Oh my god. Don't even get me started on that crap. And then that old Spider-Man show was not very good. I never watched that as a kid. But with these live-action Spider-Man movies, I watched these quite a bit growing up, especially 1 and 2. Mostly I watched the first and the second one growing up. And again, this one really has the nostalgia power to me. One thing I really got to give for this movie credit for is the direction by Sam Raimi. This film is directed masterfully, in my opinion. It is so directed well. And also, the way, the style of the camera, the way he uses the camera for this movie, and also the film's action scenes, I think are done so freaking well. And it makes me, appreciate this film more, because of also the camera work, the action scenes, the special effects, especially. Yeah, I cannot praise this film enough. This is literally one of my favorite superhero movies back from my childhood. It's the most nostalgic superhero movie, in my opinion. Well, besides The Incredible Hulk, but this one I think is the most nostalgic superhero movie that I can at least remember from my childhood. I've watched this film so many times growing up, along with Spider-Man 2, but I don't think I watched Spider-Man 2 as much as the first Spider-Man. But I've always loved Spider-Man as a character growing up, and especially the character of Peter Parker, who is an everyday kid that has everyday problems. And that's no surprise with this one. Like, Raimi does capture the character of Peter Parker here very well. I mean, honestly, I think John Watts did it better with the home saga of Spider-Man films. But here, like, because this was like the first like big attempt at a live-action Spider-Man film, I will give Sam Raimi credit where it's due. I think it's like Raimi. Sam Raimi credit where it's due for this, like, because this was like the first big attempt at bringing Spider-Man to life, to the big screen, and it worked so well. And now let's talk about these performances. Let's start off with my man Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker himself. Now this guy, I remember him so much as Peter Parker as a kid, and that was the thing I really envisioned him as for a long time, up until I saw some films that he actually was in before he did Spider-Man, and also after, like, you know, films like Pleasantville, Wonder Boys, a lot, like The Great Gatsby, even. The Great Gatsby film with Leonardo DiCaprio. And also I watched Pawn Sacrifice with him, and he was great in that film, one of his best performances. But here, I think he does the character so well. He does justice to the character. I mean, let's not forget about that badass scene, like that badass scene, like where Flash Thompson wants to beat up Peter Parker, and then he uses it, like when he get, like, as soon as he gets bit by the spider, and then when that happens, I was just like, that is justice. Like, that is like high school justice right there. But yeah, that was always one of my favorite scenes as a kid, was the fight scene between Flash Thompson and Peter Parker. I always loved that scene as a kid, and I still love it today. It is hilarious and very badass, can't lie. And also, let's also talk about Kirsten Dunst as MJ, or Mary Jane as technically she's called, but I call her by MJ. She is possibly the weakest MJ that I know from the Spider-Man films, or weakest, like, love interest of the Spider-Man saga, in my opinion. But again, this was all the way back in 2002, and she did a great job in the film. I mean, yeah, I think her character does get worse a bit in Spider-Man 3. She does better in Spider-Man 2. But in this one, like, she didn't really, like, you know, have that much to work with, in my opinion. But when it went to 2, I really think her character progressed better. But with this film, and plus this being the most nostalgic Spider-Man film, I'm willing to give her a pass for that, because I thought she did a very good job, but just, again, not enough to work with, in my opinion. And also, let's talk about Willem Dafoe. Oh my god. I loved Willem Dafoe here as the Green Goblin. And honestly, my favorite villain performance of the original Spider-Man trilogy. I thought he was the best villain that we have. But obviously, Doc Ock is my favorite Spider-Man villain. But in regards to performance-wise, I think Willem Dafoe does the best job of the original Spider-Man trilogy. Because, dude, he goes nuts as the Green Goblin. And he does, like, he captures the character of the Green Goblin to a T. And I think he does a phenomenal job in this film. And also, James Franco was, of course, great in this film as well. But we're not going to talk about him very much. But he was very good in this film. But this is a much younger James Franco, as everybody knows. And that final climax sequence, like that final action sequence with Green Goblin versus Spider-Man, that was such a great final fight. Like, everything about this film is great. Again, I did complain a little bit about Kirsten Dunst's performance as MJ in this film. But again, because of my nostalgia for this film, I'm giving her a pass for that, and how much I loved this film growing up and how many times I've seen it. Spider-Man is seriously a great superhero film, and one of my favorite superhero films of all time. I mean, my second favorite Spider-Man film, only behind No Way Home. But, again, for 2002 and their first big attempt at bringing Spider-Man to the big screen, they did wonders with this film. And Oh my God. I cannot wait to watch this film again and again. And whenever I have kids in the future, I cannot wait to show them a great superhero film that really got the superhero genre to a T and really made it what it is now. And I really have this film to thank. If you haven't guessed already, I'm going to give Spider-Man an A+. Again, one of my favorite superhero movies. I adore this film. It is so freaking good. It's fun. It's got great emotion. It has everything to offer for you guys for a superhero movie. So if you guys have not seen this Sam Raimi Spider-Man film, what the heck are you waiting for? Go check it out. Buy the Sam Raimi trilogy set, either on like this copy on Blu-ray or buy the new 4K set and watch these films. You will love these films, especially if you're a ginormous fan of Spider-Man. But obviously this is all my opinion, of course. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought of the 2002 Spider-Man. Is this your favorite of the Raimi trilogy? Is Spider-Man 2 your favorite? Is this somehow your least favorite? Let me know down in the comments below. I love getting to interact with you guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and click on that notification bell right next to it. This channel is on the road to 200 subscribers, so let's get that mark there fairly soon. And also, make sure to hit that thumbs up as well, because it's very beneficial for me to get my content out there. Y'all are the best. I cannot thank you guys enough for your support. Look forward to more awesome content here on the channel very, very soon, including the next installment into this playlist. Next time, we're going to be looking at Spider-Man 2. Cannot wait to bring you guys my review of Spider-Man 2, as well as Spider-Man 3, of course, and progressing on, leading up to Across the Spider-Verse in October. But I want to try to get the series done a couple months at least before Across the Spider-Verse. But I'm going to do the best I can to pump this out for you guys. Once again, y'all, thank you so much for watching. If you guys want to see more content from me, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.